Are you flipping the rage bait on me?
What is that existence? Responding to chuds. I love doing it.
Let's go with the dog against the dogs.
Alabama.
When I had a choice to pick a co-host.
I know.
Oh, you're betting on the game. Why would you be doing that? Because it's fun. Welcome back to Geek'd Up Bets. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson here for our NBA playoff predictions. We're going to each pitch who we think is going to reach the respective conference finals and who is going to prevail and reach the NBA finals. Our futures as the NBA play-in tournament is going to start tonight. We're also going to share our picks for the RBC Heritage Tournament at Harbour Town, I think is the course. Harbour Town is the course.
In Hilton Head.
Yes, in Hilton Head. We're going to be doing our picks for that, as well as reactions to some headlines around the NFL draft. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Did you replenish your oats?
Why were you? Yes, I did buy more oats. Maturing is realizing that oats are a very useful thing to own.
Okay, understood. Agreed.
Okay, then why am I being judged for?
Because you opened up the cabinet and you said, you put your hand on your hip, you grunted and said, "Oh."
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
You said, "Oh, I got to get more oats. I'm out of oats."
I was out of, I don't know. I think that you're
like you're a farmer. Like you're a 60-year-old farmer.
I'm not acting like I'm brewing them myself.
I got to get more
oats. I don't know how to
oats.
make oats. How do you make oats?
What do you mean? I think it's grain. I think it's grain, and then you press it.
I believe. I
don't know much about oats. You're the oat guy. I've been thinking about your oats comment since you made it on Saturday night.
You're judging me for oats consumption, and you don't even know the first thing about oats.
I need to get my oats.
When was the last time you've had oats?
What do you mean? I think
I had. Last time you had oats?
Does oatmeal count?
Yeah, that's what you use oats for. What do you think? You think I'm eating them raw? You think I'm inhaling
I don't know
them raw?
what you're doing with your oats.
I get overnight oats with them.
I don't know what you're doing with your oats.
Think I'm snorting them or something?
I don't know. I thought you were just sitting here crunching on them.
I encourage you. Want to try eating them raw?
I know what oats are like. I know what they're like.
Them raw though?
I didn't know you were heating them up for some porridge every
morning.
No,
I wasn't doing. I'm not doing that.
I don't know. I think I had my last oatmeal was in February, the end of February. McDonald's oats. It's not too bad.
All right, we're moving on.
I had to prep. I couldn't eat anything solid.
Yeah, but your choice was to go after McDonald's.
It was salvaged for me. Like it was hunted down. Somebody wanted to go to McDonald's and they came back and they gave me some oatmeal.
Okay, well,
where my oats at?
I'm hoping for more for you than to be consuming oatmeal from McDonald's.
Over here living with Sling Blade.
Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Sean, let's get into our NBA playoff predictions. Play-in tournament starts tonight. We're going to share if we can fit in timing for it, I think on Thursday we'll do our actual series winner predictions for the ones that are already set. We won't be able to do it for the play-in ones, but we'll do it for the ones that are already set up. But today we're going to dig into our Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals matchup predictions. I turn to you first, sir. Who do you think is going to land in the Eastern Conference finals, and who do you think is going to win it?
I see the Eastern Conference finals going Cleveland Cavaliers, Boston Celtics. Those are the two teams that make it. You know, I've heard arguments for the Knicks. I've heard them. I've entertained them. I've heard arguments for the Pistons. Your best player on the team has had a collapsed lung. That is something that makes me wary when he has to play extra games on top of the season. Cavs are just so complete. The Celtics have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and then a bunch of other role guys that are pretty good. But how I see that shaking out, Cleveland beating the Celtics. I will not pick the Celtics off of a moral high ground situation, but I also will not pick them over the Cavs because the Cavs have better size, more impactful size. The guard play goes to Boston. I think the best player in the series will be Jason Tatum, but the Cavs as an overall team have been impressive, and they've just been knocking. They rebuilt post-LeBron, and they rebuilt, and they've been knocking. I think it's finally their turn.
This is an absolutely dog-esque terrible.
Sure.
The Cavs,
yes,
the team that's
the Cleveland Cavaliers.
There is nothing to me about the Cavs watching them that shows that they've got much urgency. And I think that it was displayed last year during the playoffs. I felt like last year was really their year to capture an opportunity to get to the finals in a season where Tatum went down, the Knicks couldn't finish, the Pacers were incredibly mediocre, and they ended up falling short. This year, they don't feel nearly as dangerous. I don't know how you can look at
with ISO King.
I don't know how you can look at this playoff field and not think that the Celtics are going to get there. Plus 155 to win the Eastern Conference is where I lean. I already talked about this with the Celtics, that as soon as Tatum came back, the way that they improved is what is incredibly disturbing for anyone who's a fan of a team in the Eastern Conference. I'm a Knicks fan. I have kind of thrown out all faith, especially with the way that the Knicks slumped to the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Tatum comes back and Jaylen Brown, who was already at the very edge of the MVP conversation, wasn't
Glaze him more, bro.
Shut up. Shut up.
You got to come on.
Shut up. I got to put out a good pick instead of your
talk.
mailing Cavs over. You think that the Cavs are going to beat the Celtics?
I do.
To finish my point,
Go ahead.
the fact that Jaylen Brown has statistically improved, he's put up all these really big games when Tatum came back. It's not Tatum returning and trying to take over the show and the chemistry being off like everybody projected. It's the opposite, which I think is what makes them the most dangerous. But, dude, I don't know how you can't buy into this Pistons team to be the team that they face off with. I know that I'm going a bit chalky here with 1 versus 2, but Cade being back and available and witnessing multiple instances with a lot of their backup players having to play and them still playing really, really well. I think that this Pistons squad is one of the deepest in the NBA, and they're going to work their way through the Eastern Conference. It's just not their year yet to reach the NBA Finals.
Look, man, no one's glazed the Thompson twins more than me. I love how Assad.
Have you?
I have. I genuinely have been glazing him often. I like this Detroit team. I have nostalgia for a team that I never got to see in the bad boy Pistons. I am one of these morons that associates with the blue collar team, the gritty team. Like that is what I do. So why would I not root for the Pistons? I would. But I like Cleveland more. They're
Mistake.
Dude, are you kidding me?
Mistake.
ISO King James Harden, Cold Blood Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, huge.
You know what?
Jared Allen, monster.
You know what those
you're
naming a whole bunch of mid.
Oh!
You know that the kiss of death is, you know how when you're turbo effed is when you go and trade for James Harden.
It's different this time.
When has James Harden ever been the indicator of, oh, we're ready for this run? We're ready, especially the end career James Harden. That should have been end of the moot point that they'd lose to the Raptors potentially.
It's different. They won't lose to the Raptors. The Raptors have one player. The Raptors have Scotty Barnes.
Scotty, man.
The Scotty's had a good season, but it's different this time with James Harden, just because it is. I don't think there's good enough clubs in Cleveland.
You are beyond you don't know that.
Huh.
You don't know that.
Mm.
What do you know about Cleveland?
I know it's not as fun as Houston.
When was last
or Los Angeles.
You don't know that.
Or Philly.
Is Philly really that fun? I wouldn't put Philly at the top of
I would make it more
that are fun.
You think Cleveland is on the Philly level?
I don't think
for night scene.
I think
come on,
there's not much
you can budge on this one and say that Philadelphia nightlife is probably more fun than Cleveland nightlife. You can budge on this.
No, I'm not going to.
That's crazy. Oh my
I won't
God.
really have anything.
Oh, your stubbornness is crazy.
Western Conference Finals. It feels like sacrilege to pick against the Thunder. Is it just me that it feels like there's going to be a hair of complacency after last year that they might not coast, but think that their shit doesn't stink? Like that's
they're a bunch of goofballs. Like that's their whole
the vibe that I get from them. I don't really totally get killer from this team this year. I think that they're going to get to the Western Conference Finals, but the team I get killer vibes from is the Spurs, plus 320. I think that they're going to get it done. It's interesting listening to various NBA shows talk about this because you hear them embedded in their logic of decades of covering the sport. A lot of them lean on the Thunder just for the various checks going into various boxes of, like they've been here before. They're starting to get more and more veteran, all of these things. But the way they talk about the Spurs, they don't want to acknowledge that subconsciously they're pushing for the Spurs and that the Spurs make a lot of sense. Is there youth to this team? Absolutely. Is there the potential for that youth to catch up to them against the team that won the NBA Finals last year and that experience is going to help them? Yeah. But I think that if Wemby is able to play the entire playoffs and it doesn't seem like that there's anything that's going to occur that's going to catch up to him at the current moment, I think that this team is primed to shock everybody. And I think that the disrespect of him likely not winning MVP, I feel like he's one of those guys that gets galvanized.
Look, Wemby could go out there and do some Bron shit where he leads a group that has no business being there to the top. He could be, but for the act of betting on it and making picks, it's going to happen. I don't like the risk of it happening. So that is the only reason I'm avoiding
the risk of taking the Nuggets to survive the Timberwolves.
That's correct. Yes, I like the Nuggets. I think that the Timberwolves have had plenty of opportunities to show us that they're a big boy team and that they're grown up and legit, and they haven't done so. And the Nuggets, all they've done is say, hey, you know what? If you let us keep on feeding this big moose at our 5 position, he's going to get 40 on you, and he's going to get boards and assists, and you can't stop it. And the Wolves have had opportunities. They have a monster star player in Anthony Edwards, and unfortunately, it feels like the Ravens to me, where we get to the playoffs.
It's not a bad comp.
We get to the playoffs, and then what happens? Most exciting player that the NBA could possibly have at the guard position for whatever. And then what happens in the postseason? Disappearance. And the Nuggets are just the trusty turners. The Nuggets are the trusty turners, man.
You need to clarify. He doesn't disappear.
The team then.
The team disappears.
Okay.
He plays at a very high level. Just doesn't have any support.
All right, fine. He's a little better than Lamar in the playoffs then, because Lamar disappears.
Well, his teammates also disappear more than Lamar.
They all disappear. Nobody's there.
I feel like it's a bit risky to. I don't disagree with you. This does feel like a season where if the Thunder do lose, it could potentially be to Jokic getting one back. And for that,
they've just been competitive against the Thunder this year. That's what I've liked. I've liked how tough they played.
Competitive in every big game that they've had, which makes it easy to support them.
Also, I don't think you've had experience being the big white center on a team and leading them to glory like I have.
Are you comparing yourself to Jokic?
And that feeling.
You also didn't you tell me you didn't start in high school?
Correct. I only played. Yeah. Correct.
So you weren't Jokic.
No, I kind of. Here's the thing. I kind of was
Ryan
Jokic. My rookie year was. Was that him? That's funny. That's. Oh, that is stupid. Look, Mason Chudley. Can we go with that?
Well, but he's not very. I'm trying to think who else was like a dumpy center that kind of didn't do a whole lot.
What do you mean? Jokic is one of the best 5s ever.
Yeah, but he's not a chud.
Okay, guys. Okay. I'm trying to think.
Races, horses, and shit. Who's like a big chud center?
Marcin Chudshot.
Yeah, Marcin.
Marchud Gortat. That's what we're looking for. What I'm saying is, you've never been that. You've never been the big guy that's facilitating. You haven't been on the runs that I've been on, and you haven't been able to.
What runs?
The ones where I'm picking up the ball from half court and taking it down.
You're carrying the ball up.
I'm taking the ball up court.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, there's a special.
6'6",
the team rallies around the big center that can handle the rock.
Okay, what's your logic for them getting to the NBA Finals? Though, I mean, them having won, it makes sense. It feels like there's a lot less drama with this team this year. It feels like they're a little bit more locked in.
I just see them, and I think I really just think they're just quality. I look at Jamal Murray, I say, man, good God, that guy is unstoppable. Sometimes the elevation of Christian Brown has been great, where he came in and it felt a little gadgety, and then look at him starting rotation. Aaron Gordon found himself in a tremendous role with the Nuggets, where he's big, he can shoot the 3, physical on defense. He's not just how Orlando was using him, which is fast break dunks, which was just so stupid. And then Jokic. Who's going to stop him? Wemby. If it's Jokic, Wemby, that's when I get scared. Jokic versus the other 28 centers.
Well, they're going to have to face off with one another.
Yeah, that's going to be the big challenge. I'm not worried about what Jokic does against the Thunder. Not one bit. I'm worried about him getting past Wemby. But if he does that, they're a more complete team than San Antonio, and then that's how I get my logic.
I think that the general takeaway here is that the survivor of that matchup between the Nuggets and the Spurs is the team that I think has the momentum to get to the NBA Finals. The Thunder are obviously so good, but I don't know about you. Whenever I watch the Thunder, I'm kind of lulled to sleep, and maybe that's
it's free throw show.
That's the mistake.
Free throw hour.
Making. All right, RBC Heritage. Coming off the Masters, we are going to deliver each 2 top 10 finishers for RBC Heritage at Harbour Town in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Notably, Rory and Matsuyama are not going to be participating in the 82 golfer field. One thing that I found intriguing before we give out our picks, each of the last 6 editions of this event have been won by major championship winners. So we're not just getting random chud golfers winning. Justin Thomas in 2025, Scotty in 2024, Matt Fitzpatrick in 2023, and Jordan Spieth in 2022. I think I actually meant to write down 2022. Yeah, I don't know why I wrote down 2023. I throw to you first, sir. What is your first top 10 finisher pick?
My first top 10 pick, disregard the shoe. Okay, not even going to call them shoes. Disregard the big clanking work boots that he golfs in. Disregard the swaggerless fit that he shows up in. Xander Schauffele at plus 105 is a chalky pick for this event, only behind Scotty Scheffler to finish top 10. But I really like what I saw from him at the Masters. Schauffele could turn the RBC Heritage into the ABG Heritage, and that is what I think he's going to do. Anybody can get a Heritage.
Look, I had Schauffele in the Masters, and that one ended up paying off. And he's a reliable guy to lean on just in general because of his general consistency. A guy that I like that has also been super consistent, but also consistently playing at a ridiculously high level is Morikawa at plus 185. He came back from his back injury that completely screwed me on I think it was right before the beginning of the Genesis.
You're dipping back in?
No, but here's the thing. I think that this is where this is really promising. So his last 3 performances, he's tied 7. He won last 4 performances, had a win, tied 7th, tied 5th, and tied 7th. Tied 7th at the Masters, and that was coming off of back issues. And I think that what made me really compelled by him was the fact that he started slow, and then once he got all limbered up and rolling, he hit a rhythm, and he was able to finish in the top 10. He was, I think, 2 over, and then was under par the final 3 rounds. He was off to a tremendous start this season. And I really think that Morikawa, if his back is good and he doesn't take his first swing again and then walk off the course, he makes a lot of sense to finish in the top 10.
God, that is just risk to me. That feels like risk. And if he goes out and wins it, I'm going to say, oh, at least I didn't bet on the horse whose ankle was hurting before the race. Like, a
bad back for a golfer is kind of a death wish. I know.
It's just a risk. And that is the only time, like, whatever. Everyone has their own logic for who they pick in golf. I'm not going to poo-poo the logic. But if there's something like you build your own clubs with a 3D printer, which I'm out on.
I knew that should have been.
I am out on stuff like that. Dude, I am out on bad backs.
As soon as I saw Kevin Hart doing that par 3 bit, and after all the griping that we had about Jason Kelsey, I was immediately confirmed that I made one of the worst betting predictions I've ever made.
Show up in golf. Be normal.
But that's why Schauffele, you clown on Schauffele, and Schauffele's the perfect pick to go with just in general, because he looks like such dog shit the way that he dresses. That's a guy that's all about ball. That's a guy who's just showing up.
He's literally he's sandbagging. He's sandbagging us, the betters.
But whenever you've gone golfing, the guy who's the most cracked is the guy who's got the bad shoes, who's got the bag that's falling apart, the bad outfit. That's always how it works.
Aren't there people in 2K? I know it's called smurfing in other games where you show up in the brown shirt and the black shorts, and you're like, okay, well, this guy must not be it. And then they go out and they're like, a no lifer, and they just crush.
Cracked.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe Xander's that.
Maybe. I think that he is that.
Maybe. New shoes.
We never talked about it. Do you know that I became privy to the one Rube who wears the big puffy like bowler's cap? You know what I'm talking about? He had like the big.
Patrick Reed, didn't he wear that before?
He was wearing like a Bridgestone.
When did they all wear it? Was that the Ryder Cup where they all wore the flat caps? I hated that.
Wait,
so stupid. Bryson wears the flat cap.
I'm gonna have to find it. I don't know who was wearing it, but he looked absolutely awful. It was one of the worst fits. My second pick that I'm gonna go with here, I'm gonna go with Russell Henley at plus 125. He's had 3 consecutive top 20 finishes at Harbour Town. One of the things that we talk about a lot with these golf bets, go with guys that have played well at the same courses. It's not hard, by the way, or it's not easy rather, to find history of guys that have played well at specific courses. Data Golf is a pretty good site for that, and I dug into how he's performed. As I said, 3 consecutive top 20 finishes at Harbour Town. He's got a total of 3 top 10 finishes, and he's posted a top 20 finish or better in all of the cuts that he's made this year. So I think that Henley, for his reliability, being top 3 in the odds, is somebody that I'm willing to bank on.
He's new to me. I have been getting familiarized with him after Augusta, and I don't know. I gotta see. He's just new to me. He's too new for my understanding where I'm going to take him. But go ahead and stat it up. My second pick is Siwoo Kim plus 200 to finish top 10 at RBC. Accuracy is favored over distance and just bombing it out and getting yourself albatross opportunities. It's a smaller, tighter course. Siwoo Kim is the most accurate driver on the tour right now. I think he's like 71.29% of fairways, but he's number one, most accurate guy. So that is why I'm taking him. If you can stay within the confines of this course, which I was almost down in Hilton Head this weekend for a trip. Yeah,
really?
I did not go. Yeah, I didn't want to deal with it.
Buddy's gone?
I don't even know if they're still going.
It was with your.
But yeah, it would have been that. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I got one huge golf fan that would have wanted to go to the tournament and would have tried to get on the court. I'm like, okay, dude, I would just want to go down and get some sun. You know, have a beverage or two. Not make this golf outing trip watching a bunch of guys.
Have you been to a golf event before?
No.
I highly encourage you. It's a lot more fun than you'd think. It's because there's just pop-up concessions everywhere. It's day drinking, and then you just walk around and watch people hit golf clubs.
I get itchy though.
It's awesome.
I get like if I'm seeing someone swing a golf club, like there needs to be a driving range open to patrons where they can go and get it out. And then be like, oh, let me get back to the golf. Because if I see people swinging golf or playing golf, I want to go play golf. It's one of those things.
I get that.
Like when you're playing 2K with your buddies and you got a hoop outside, eventually it gets hot enough where you're like, I got to go. You need to shut up. We're going to take this actual to the real game. That's what I feel about golf.
We might need to go to. There's one in event. I forget which one's in Philly, but the U.S. Open's at Shinnecock on Long Island. So I think we should try to go to one. I'm telling you right now, it is. Of any sporting events to go to, going to a golf event is really freaking fun. If you can find a way to travel and not have to drive after, it's freaking awesome. Because again, you just day drink and walk around. You get all this fresh air. It's sunny out. You feel kind of good about yourself because you're not just.
This is the same pitch NASCAR people give, by the way.
I've been to a NASCAR event. NASCAR events are not.
This is the same pitch I hear. You're outside with your friends, you're tailgating, you're day drinking.
You can dress like a dickhead too. You can dress all. Pretend that you're all fancy and important, wearing a button down and some high shorts.
You're going button. You were in your free time.
Not a button down. Not a button down. A collared shirt, golf shirt.
That's offensive to me in my free time. My free time, I am in a clothes with as many holes as possible. That is what. As soon as we do this show,
do that in public.
I prefer to. You know what? If could I show up in a t-shirt, or will I be mocked out if I'm at a golf event in a t-shirt?
You might, as long as it's not a hole-filled.
I'm not golfing. Why am I dressing like a golfer?
Well, that's part of the experience.
Do you see people going to NFL games in knee pads and cleats?
Actually, it's kind of sick when guys do that.
Yeah, it's great because it's so unrealistic. But these guys are there's a latent hope for all these golf fans that show up and they're like in their slacks and in their best golf fit. They're like, hey, we need one. You, sir. You come golf today with us. They want to be brought in because they look the part.
We had a comment in here, the interesting comment from We6D. Could you win the Masters if you started every hole from the far side of the green? I think that this is a simple no. Considering how big the greens are, and if you just like, I legitimately, I probably will never get to play Augusta. Neither of us will ever get to play Augusta.
I'm not
but the one thing that I always register when I'm sitting there watching is, would I capably be able to putt, like do better than 3-putting on one of those greens for how bumpy and how uneven it is? If you start on the far side, you could just miss
long greens.
Yeah, by an inch, and your ball could end up cascading completely off the green because of how hilly, the speed of if you caught one of those bumps. I think it's just impossible to read. I think there's a reason why when you're watching and you're paying attention to like certain guys' shots that are in the lead, the guys that drop the ball really damn close to the hole, which that's not a hot take or some sort of level of analysis, those guys are going to win. Those guys that are as close to the hole as possible, they tend to follow through and they tend to finish pretty well because they're eliminating all those extra variables of having to putt from so far away.
I'd like to have a caddy with me if I'm going to do it. I'm not saying I would win. I think I could make the cut and then lose. Is that fair? Is that fair to say that at par 5 I could putt it 5 times and I think I could get it in.
I don't think this question was directly asked about us. I think that the question was directly asked if it was possible for a professional golfer to do it. But
oh yeah, if you shave off 2 or 3 shots on every hole to get to the green, I don't know. These guys are so good though. They're so good. Like if you have, could you putt your way through 72 holes to 14 under and beat Rory? Probably not. Actually, most people probably couldn't do that.
I'd be curious to look and see. That's the other thing too. Surprisingly, the tour's best putters aren't always the guys that do well at the Masters.
Yeah, Rory's not even a great putter. He just gets there the most efficiently.
Right. That's an interesting question. Other quick question here before we move on to the NFL. Ibrahim 2250 said Detroit versus. That's not a question, it's a comment. Detroit versus Hornets has to happen. This Hornets team, I don't know how many Hornets games you've watched.
Oh, yeah.
They're fun. They're freaking fun. They're just chucking threes. LaMelo's chaotic. Knipple is an absolute sharpshooter. I think that there's a lot that would come out of that matchup. I don't think that the Hornets would win, but I hope that they beat the Heat. The Heat are, I'm sick of the Heat are the Steelers. The Heat have turned into the Steelers. They're just duct taping rosters together every single year with a recurring coach. If Spoelstra gets canned at the end of this year or steps away, it wouldn't shock me. They really are the Steelers.
He should go back with LeBron to Los Angeles. Actually, they go back to Cleveland, and LeBron plays small forward for them, and Eric Spoelstra coaches. And now it's the third event in Cleveland, and he wins another ring. Sure. I'd like to see Detroit versus Charlotte. Detroit feels like the high school bad kids, and Charlotte feels like the middle school bad kids, like that are in AIA and always messing around. It's just a bunch of hoopers. I love it.
All right, moving on over to the NFL, Sean. We're starting to get really close to the NFL draft. It is right around the corner, and the biggest question that has been unsettled this entire time is who is going to draft Ty Simpson. So with a little over a week to go, Sean and I are going to take our shots based on teams with the best odds. Sean decided to put 2 teams down, even though I told him not to do that. Jets plus 210 is the team that I'm taking here, Sean. I've thought about the fact that the Cardinals lead with the odds you had them at plus 130 is where they sit. I was about to put them down, and then I talked myself completely out of it because I feel like whoever's leading the race to take Simpson at the current moment over a week out, that is going to rapidly change. I feel like that there has not been very much momentum in terms of reporting that the Cardinals are that interested in taking Ty Simpson. So something feels a little off. It does make a lot of sense. They decided to do the total mail-in of getting rid of Murray, committing to Jacoby Brissett, and also having Gardner Minshew. It does feel like a setting. It feels like a really, really good setting for Ty Simpson to step into. And they're also a little bit more further removed from the cycle of constantly drafting quarterbacks like some of these other teams have done, like the Browns and the Jets. But I'm going with the Jets at plus 210 because I think that the approach of drafting Simpson would be an opportunity for them to go against what they've done previously. What I mean by this is if we look at their recent stretch of misses at quarterback, it's all been guys in the top 10. Mark Sanchez, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. They keep swinging and missing on guys that they drafted early. Mm-hmm. Geno Smith is the one exception for that. They brought in Geno as a stopgap. He's not the long-term solution, obviously. Picking him and trading back into the end of the first round, theoretically, and drafting him, I think would be a much safer approach. It's a little bit more Jackson Dartish, where you're not overcommitting early capital to a quarterback, and you can be patient to getting him onto the field. Geno Smith mirrors Russell Wilson in many ways of being completely ass and over the hill. The last part with this is I think out of any of the coaches that could possibly take a quarterback, there's one that has the most urgency. Aaron Glenn has to figure this shit out. All these other coaches are in their first year. They don't want to pin themselves to a guy that might not be the guy that they're in love with. I think Aaron Glenn has to make a move. Otherwise, he's cooking himself.
Okay, so are you, for our conversation clarity purposes, I think that the lines are the lines because you're looking at the teams that are quarterback needy in the top 10.
Yes.
Are you assuming that the Jets pick him at 2 or 16?
No. I don't think anyone's picking him in the top 10. I don't even think they pick him at 16. I would think that they would, with all the picks that they have, they'd probably pick at 2. They'd pick at 16. They'd see that he falls past the Steelers, and then they would trade back in. Mm-hmm. That is how I'm seeing this, and that's how I would presume that the Cardinals would handle it. and the Browns picking him at 24, but I would presume that the Cardinals would trade back into the 20s.
So you think, okay, golly. All right. I mean, I'm fine with it. Like, I think that's way more appropriate than him getting selected at 2 or 3.
No, it's not going to happen. There's zero chance. Zero chance.
That is just, it feels very desperate to me for Ty Simpson, but I understand that NFL teams get desperate sometimes and make crazy ass decisions. I like the Cardinals just because Ty Simpson would be, I think, quickly the best quarterback on their roster, and that would help them. And it seems like Ty Simpson has a lot of the non-Kyler Murray stuff where Kyler Murray was a 1-1 overall pick certified and then came in, balled out, and then plateaued, whereas Ty Simpson feels like he's going to have to grind it out and then really maximize everything that he can. Different situation. I think the Cardinals will be looking for that, and it is just a personality at the quarterback change. I know quarterbacks are all like geared the same internally. You have to be. And the Jets have Geno, and I think the Jets are waiting to make a big swing.
Yeah, but how different is Geno from Jacoby?
Yeah, I know.
Jacoby's better than Geno.
I think that
you can start a full season to Jacoby compared to Geno.
I think that the Cardinals will win too many games with Jacoby, and that they understand that, and they need to at least get a guy this year, because next year, if they win 6 games, they will be out of like the top 4 quarterback picks.
The one thing I will say is I do think it's plausible to consider that the amount of people that have attached Simpson to McVay and for him to end up in Los Angeles, we have to consider LaFleur coming from Los Angeles. The system is the same. If he is going to fit somewhere, it's going to fit in some iteration of that offense. That's why it's completely plausible. You had the Browns written down here, and I think that the interesting thing with the Browns, they didn't really make any moves at quarterback. And nobody's really talked about this, that they haven't made any moves at quarterback. Unless they're like really, and we talked about this, they're really going into the season thinking we're going to just throw Deshaun Watson out there, and then the minute that we're tired of him, we'll give Shedeur one more chance. And then the minute that doesn't work, we are all in on Arch or Dante Moore or Lenore Sellers or Brendan Sorsby or Josh Hoover or Darian Mensah or CJ Carr, or I'm trying to see how many quarterbacks I can name for 2026.
Trinidad?
Winnerdad? Yeah, Winnerdad, maybe. God, him as a Cleveland Brown would be awesome.
Wasn't ready for that. I had the Browns because they have 2 picks in the first round.
Oh, they have more out of focus camera. Sorry, I'm being distracted.
Oh, come on, man. I don't understand. Like, here's the thing. If I was going on ESPN, right, for a hit, I'm doing everything in my power. Everything. I'm checking everything.
Sorry, I'm distracted by they're showing a guy on location.
He's
in Los
so
Angeles.
Close to it that they think he's a smudge on the camera, and the players warming up are in 4K.
In the background, we have ESPN on in the background, and it completely talk about ADD completely distracted me. How that dude was so out of focus. Sorry, to get back to
the Browns have 2 picks in the first round. One at 6, what they can make is a guilt-free BPA pick, which I'm sure they'll draft another defensive All-Pro that'll waste 10 years there and just be a thankless warrior. And then at 24, and that feels like the pocket. That feels like about the area where Ty Simpson would get drafted. And they're kind of just sitting there. And I'm never going to claim to know what Cleveland's going to do, ever. I'm not going to do that. In the draft, they surprise me every single year with their stupidity or their brilliance. Sometimes they make really good picks, but you never know where they're going to go. So, looking at them at 24, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to add more drama to the quarterback room and take Simpson. I just wouldn't be. If it's like, hey, Shedeur and Dylan, you guys are also competing against Ty, and then you also have to not be beaten out by Deshaun Watson. Like, it's really a reality TV show, quarterback room that I would need to see, but I wouldn't be surprised, because are they really looking at themselves and saying we're good?
Oh, but that's the thing, though, is that
how do you do that if you're the Browns?
If you look at the room in general, it screams team that wants to take a quarterback this year, but at the same time, it's incredibly crowded. So why would we want to throw another dude? It's just not a tenable situation to expect him to be able to grow and flourish and survive. I'd keep any young quarterback away from that pervert. I want that dude out of the building and done and gone with before I'm building my roster around whoever. So sorry to Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You have been the pervert. You've been put in the pervert zone, sadly, which might have been an indicator that they weren't ready to build around you.
That team, and I'm
talking about the Deshaun Watson, by the way.
All that being
I'm not
said,
talking about Dylan Gabriel.
if I'm Ty Simpson, I'm not going to Cleveland. I'm saying no, don't draft me. I'm rejecting going to the Cleveland Browns. I would not accept it.
You said Trinidad Chambliss, and the more that I think about it, I couldn't think of if I'm a Browns fan, I couldn't think of a player that I'd be more compelled to be excited about. If I'm starting to look at the 2027 way too early mocks after your team doesn't pick a quarterback, and the Browns are the perfect candidate for a team to finish picking 5th overall, like they did this past year, where their defense wins them a couple of games they're not supposed to. Todd Monken pulls off some crazy shit where they run for 250 and whoever's playing quarterback throws for 6. There is 6 yards, not touchdowns, to be very clear. It feels like that they'll be out of the mix for Arch and the top dogs. I think that would be Trinidad Chambliss would be just the perfect player to ignite hope into them. That's what he did for Ole Miss this past year. Austin Simmons comes in and it's all, man, he's not as good as we thought he was. And then suddenly Ole Miss fans thought they were untouchable. I think that's what the Browns need. They need that swagger. Look at the way that they acted when they had Baker.
Yeah, look how they acted when they had Baker. They had him, and then they let him go, and then they turned on him, and they're still vengeful about Baker. How tall is Trinidad, by the way?
He's like 6 foot, 6'1". I just think that works.
I'm out, by the way.
On Trinidad,
short quarterbacks.
You hate good football players.
I love Trinidad.
I hate that you're the only asshole who gets to go, oh, these assholes are shorter than me, so I don't like them.
Correct, because he wouldn't be able to see over my big fat ass if I was blocking for him, and that's a problem. I don't want the ball getting spiked into the back of my helmet because that hurts.
Tell that to Drew Brees.
Drew Brees released that ball up here. He was releasing it as high up as he could, which I appreciated. You specialists and quarterbacks love pelting the big boys in the back fat with the ball.
Trinidad is going to fix Cleveland. I think that he will. The Cowboys are trying to fix themselves.
Oh, God.
This update with the Dallas Cowboys was the most Cowboys news that we could have gotten about a week from the draft. Jordan Schultz reported there's a belief among teams at the top of the draft that the Cowboys, who have picks at 12 and 20, are a team to watch in trade-up scenarios, according to multiple league sources. Several teams have said they believe Dallas is targeting a player the Giants also covet, and getting ahead of them would be ideal if the price makes sense. This is the most Cowboys headline, because not only is it before anyone else has been reported wanting to move up, that they're interested in reporting up, but the fact that this is the added layer that they're mostly enticed by the fact that they have to beat the Giants out to get a specific player. The rumor is it's Sonny Styles. The rumor is that the Giants like Sonny Styles and they're thinking about it. And it'd be very Jerry Jones-ish to think, oh my God, we have to get Sonny Styles if the Giants are thinking of taking him. I don't want Sonny Styles, not because I don't think he's a good football player, but I think it's redundant to have two gigantic linebackers that are the same physical profile. It's just a little bit wonky. But what do you make of this news? Who do you think that they would actually go up and trade for if they theoretically moved up to pick 4, maybe pick 6 or somewhere else?
Well, first of all, Sonny Styles, the name alone sounds like a player who would intrigue Jerry Jones. It's a football name. It's a great football name. And I think Jerry understands branding, marketing, and what the Dallas Cowboys mean to people. And if you get a Sonny Styles in there and you can have 5 million people wearing a jersey that says Styles and it's a Cowboys uniform and they think that means that they have style, I think Jerry makes that connection because football fans are dumb. And that is from a dumb football fan. But you all would love to wear a jersey that says Styles on the back. They're not going to trade up and get an offensive lineman.
No.
They're not going to trade up and get...
this would be a defensive player. Their defense was Cheeks last year. You'd be going up to get Arvell Reese, Styles, Caleb Downs, or David Bailey. Maybe Reuben Bain. Maybe they think that they can benefit from a little bit of a Reuben Bain slide.
What about this Mansour DeLeone guy? Would they trade up for him? I feel weird. I would never trade up for a corner. That's just me. It just feels like... I don't know. Maybe I would. Maybe I should, because if I traded up and I got Derek Stingley or the equivalent of, I would be pretty happy. But I just don't see that happen.
I don't think DeLeone is Stingley level, but I do think that DeLeone is a really, really good football player that is going to be a lockdown corner. That would be the most Cowboys thing possible, would be trading up to 4 and having multiple of those players that I just mentioned that are considered to be the blue chip guys, and then drafting Mance or DeLeone, who probably could still be on the board for them at 12, or if they traded to like pick 8 or 9, they could have gone up and gotten them.
Here's what's dumb about this. We've gone through the Cowboys defensive depth chart.
Mhm.
We've gone through it. We've analyzed Dallas. They don't just need one guy. They need 2 first-round guys. And hopefully those 2 first-round guys turn into starters for them.
Right.
You need 2. You don't just need one. You're not just 1 star away. You're 2 B+, A- players from being like serviceable on defense. That defense was so bad last year, and it's arrogant to ignore depth. It is arrogant of the Cowboys to think that they are in a trade-up situation. You are in a pick where you're at situation. They draft well, too. Golly, 12 and 20 should get you 2 starters if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
See, I'm conflicted because what you're saying I align with. I'm conflicted because Jerry is not getting any younger, and I think that he has an aspiration to see one more Super Bowl before he's done.
Done or done?
He's gone. He's old. He's very old.
Gone from the team or gone from the
Gone
plane?
from the planet.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that he recognizes based on how he's operated with some of these aggressive moves that he's made. He's also just generally been an impulsive decision maker. I think that if you are, to your point, they're not 1 star away. If you trade up, you could end up getting a player that goes on to become a defensive player of the year caliber guy, a Caleb Downs, a Sonny Styles, an Arvell Reese. Any of those guys would be Micah Parsons level, in my opinion, at their respective positions. Top 5 at their positions, maybe even in the contention to become top 1 at their various positions.
I would agree with you on Downs.
But I think that what plagued them, and it would completely go against his whole premise of trading away Micah Parsons, his whole premise, and what a lot of Cowboys fans argued that justified the trade, was that we were too heavy on committing to him and being reliant on Micah Parsons being the catalyst for our defensive success, that the rest of the defensive roster was completely cooked and was unbalanced. So to your point, yeah, if you have to trade up and you got to use that second first-round pick to move up, I think that's stupid. I think that where you sit at pick 12 and at pick 20, it gives you a chance to draft Keldrick Falk and to draft Colton Hood. And while that's not David Bailey or Reese or any of those guys, you're still getting closer to the final approach of having roster balance. Superstars don't win you Super Bowls. Balanced rosters win you Super Bowls. The Seattle Seahawks are an example of that.
I would try to replicate that the best that I can. What they did with their defense, building a physical back end, so important. And then just not a lot of, you're right, there's not a lot of superstars on that defense. There's not a lot of big names. It's just defensive players executing a scheme. I am nervous about Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles because the tall, uber athletic linebacker, I've seen them get overdrafted before.
Give examples.
Isaiah Simmons, the freak.
He's not Isaiah Simmons. Neither of them are Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons.
I just don't think the NFL knows how to use these guys yet.
But they're not even close to this. Isaiah Simmons was a safety that was converted to linebacker that did not have enough experience playing linebacker and did not have the eyes or the instincts to play linebacker. And he was able to make big plays while at Clemson just because he was a freak athlete. Sonny Styles played a lot more football than Isaiah Simmons, and he has a lot more of a track and a path to shining as an inside linebacker because his final year, he was incredibly instinctual. Like his film is loaded with him processing and flowing downhill without any hesitation. Arvell Reese, despite not playing that much, has vastly better instincts than Isaiah Simmons when he was coming out. And I argued that it's a lot more valuable to have a linebacker hybrid that is off ball to line of scrimmage compared to off ball to back end as a coverage player. Back end,
I would agree at that point. I would agree
because it's just too ambiguous trying to get those guys to operate in a more confined space. At the very least, if he really stinks and struggles off ball, which I don't think is going to happen because he's got a lot of context of looking really good when he is just standing up as an outside backer, he can eventually just become an average level pass rusher that's just sent off the edge like a missile. I think that there's a high floor to Reese, which is not discussed about often. Both these players have high floors. They're not Isaiah Simmons. I'm telling you right now.
I worry that I'm looking at maybe a Jalen Smith situation.
Jalen Smith's situation was from a messed up knee, dude. Come on. You got to come with a better example.
Come on.
That
was just some prodding. Okay. That was some good Notre Dame prodding. Wasn't that guy supposed to be the truth, huh?
He had
he brought it me terribly. I know. I'm just prodding.
All right. We got to get out of here before Sean makes me jump over this table. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. Hit that like button, subscribe. We'll talk to you later.